This video will be a demonstration of how to do inverses as well as multiplication of matrices in Microsoft Excel. To start off, we will start by doing the inverse of this first matrices, which is matrix A, and it is a 4 by 4. To do an inverse, the row and columns have to be equal to one another. So A to the -1 is what an inverse is equal to. So to do an inverse, you have to, for the product to be printed out correctly, you have to highlight the number of cells that you want. And then you will go under function and you will make it equal to, and you'll put M inverse, which stands for matrices inverse. And you double click, and then you highlight what cells you desire to have the inverse, which happens to be this 4 by 4 here. Close the parentheses, and to get the exact product, you will have to press Control Shift Enter. Now, if you want it in decimal format, you can leave it this way. However, if you want it in fraction format, you just have to change it and it will give you the exact fraction for all of the cells. Now make sure when you do that, you have to have all cells highlighted, and this will be the inverse of this matrices here. Now just for a second practice, you'll just we'll do B. This is a 4 by 4 as well. You'll follow the same steps, which are to highlight the number of cells you want your product to be printed out in, and then you'll make it equal to, and you'll push M inverse. And then also, to get the right product, just make sure that you'll press Control Shift Enter, and here is your inverse. Now when you do multiplication, your number of columns must be equal to the number. When doing multiplication, you have to make sure that your number of columns are equal, and the first matrices are equal to the number of rows in the second matrices. So here is a 4 by 1, a 4 by 4, and here's a 4 by 1. So the number of columns is equal to in this matrices is equal to the number of rows in this matrices. So we can multiply these two by one another. So the product of this matrices will be equal to the number of rows from the first column, from the first matrices, and the number of columns in the second matrices. So the product of this matrices, this multiplication of this 4 by 4 and this 4 by 1 will be a 4 by 1. So we'll just take is what the matrices would be here. We'll call the product of these two this. Now to do the multiplication, you still have to highlight however many rows and columns you may want your product to be in, and you'll go to the function line and you'll push equal, and you'll do MULT, which stands for matrices multiplication, and then you will highlight. You have to do it in the proper order or it will not give you the right product. So for this one, you have to do this one first, and then you press a comma. You don't press multiplication, and then you'll highlight the second matrices, and then you close this parentheses, and then you press Control Shift Enter, and here's your product.